Hi, I'm Jonathan Parker and I'm representing Ignite Tuition, and in this video we're going to delve into form with respect to good night and good luck. So you might be wondering, first off the bat, what is form? It's a word that I think a lot of people have heard their English teachers use, have maybe read in some exemplar essays, but might not have that much of a handle on what it actually entails. So there are a couple of questions that you can ask yourself when you're critically evaluating a text like Good Night and Good Luck to help you better understand the way that form works within a text. So the first thing that we can ask is, what type of text is it? Is it a film, as Good Night and Good Luck is? Is it a play? Is it a novel? Is it poetry? So you think really broadly about the text type. Then you think, what are the unique features of that text type? What can Clooney do because he's making a film that other artists, other composers would not be able to do because they are using a less visual and a more literary medium? And then we also need to ask, is it in a particular genre? Does it have a particular style to it? Can we classify this text as a particular type of that type of text? So this will make a bit more sense when we look at this with relation to Good Night and Good Luck. We can answer this first question about what type of text it is by responding, it's a film. Pretty straightforward, but what are the unique features of film? What makes film different from other forms? What are its key features? And when you're evaluating a film, when you are studying Good Night and Good Luck in class or on your own, I want you to be looking out for these four categories of film form. You need to be paying attention to the editing. Editing is what really distinguishes film from any other form. It was what was unique back in the late 1800s when film was pioneered as a new medium, something that photography couldn't do, something that theatre couldn't do. We're thinking about cinematography as well, so what types of shots are used, the angles that those shots are composed from, the level of movement within the camera itself. So there's a couple of things that we can think about there with cinematography. We also need to think about sound, diegetic sound, meaning sound that is emanating from within what's being displayed, sound that the characters can hear along with the audience, and also non-diegetic sound, which is sound that only the audience can hear. Usually that manifests as music or voiceover. And then there's mise-en-scène. And mise-en-scène is everything that you can see. And that's relating to costumes, it's relating to lighting, it's relating to setting and staging. So these are our categories for understanding film form. And then when we're asking this question about what kind of style or genre is Good Night and Good Luck composed in, we can answer by saying it's a docudrama. So it is a representation of an historical event using as little aesthetic fabrication as possible. It's not historical fiction. It's not trying to fictionalize something that did happen. It's trying to represent it as closely as it possibly can. With that in mind, we can think about some of the specific stylistic features of Good Night and Good Luck, and because it is a docudrama, something that it relies very heavily on is the use of archival footage. Now this seems like a bit of a non-negotiable to talk about in an essay because it is so central to Clooney's style. Through this use of archival footage, he blurs the boundaries between historical reality and scripted drama. And the effect of this is what's called verisimilitude. It simulates reality. It makes us feel as if we are witnessing something that is very, very, very closely approximating what actually happened. So through the use of archival footage of McCarthy's diatribes against Murrow and Annie Lee Moss's hearing, Clooney positions us as like one of the reporters in the newsroom so that we can understand, without too much authorial aesthetic intrusion, McCarthy's reactionary hypocrisy for ourselves. Another distinctive feature of this film, as you can see from these stills, is the monochromatic cinematography. There's a really clunky and fancy way of saying it's in black and white, and it uses a lot of sharp contrasts in lighting. The black and white photography really is in service of what I was talking about with the first point about the archival footage, in terms of blurring the boundaries between the recreated docudrama scenes with actors in a soundstage and the archival footage. And with respect to the sharp contrasts aesthetically, the black and white, what's called chiaroscuro lighting, that interplay of light and shadow, it really illustrates the world of binaries that Clooney is depicting, but also with the greys, how fluid these binaries are, how fluid the distinction between patriot and traitor actually is, between truth and deceit actually is. We also can think about the contrasting shot choices that he makes. So Clooney often relies on either quite distancing, depersonalizing long shots, which represents that emotional detachment and that fear within the Cold War era, but also some very voyeuristic close-ups where we are quite claustrophobic, trying to understand the emotions of particular people in the same way that surveillance was being used at the time, not just in America, but especially in East Germany with the Stasi, Russia with the KGB, that sort of voyeuristic intrusion of people's private lives. A central motif within the film, relating it to sound, one of those key aspects of film form, is jazz. And it's interesting that jazz is this form of music that is free, that is unbounded by tradition, that says what cannot be spoken through words and represents this unbridled liberty of the human spirit as well. It's interesting that when the characters are grieving the suicide of Hollenbeck, it's jazz that's able to articulate the complexity of grief that the characters, due to their fear, cannot themselves. So we can think about how jazz is this thing that punctuates the film's sound design to communicate what can't be said, and again illustrates the suffocation of this Cold War era. We also can think about the metatextuality and what's going on with framing devices and mise-en-scene within the film. So metatextuality is where a text is in some way about its own construction or reflects upon its own medium. Through the mise en abîme, which means something close to holding a mirror to a mirror, where you can see a sort of infinite progression of an object, we get these constant images of television screens within the screen on which we're actually watching the film. There are these images like here where we see multiple screens and sometimes screens within screens, and it is like a mirror to a mirror, sort of infinite procession of screens, the computer screen or cinema screen or television screen that we watch the film on, and then a certain degree of others. This layering of televisions within televisions visualizes the world of fabrication and refraction that Clooney is interested in. And with respect to the metatextuality, Clooney is taking on the form of a television broadcast from the time. We know, because of the mise en abîme, that we are watching a film. We know we're watching something like a newsreel that's been constructed, which makes us aware of the artifice that is characterizing our own world. With respect to this, Murrow often also looks directly at us, the audience of the film. Murrow as depicted by David Strathairn, I'm pretty sure. So he looks directly at us and interpolates us within the world of the film, which sort of self-reflexively, almost metatextually, represents a plea, not just from Murrow to his audience, but from Clooney to us today, to not blindly accept the restrictions of civil liberties and the demagoguery that was proliferating again after 9/11 during the War on Terror in America. And the framing device, which features Murrow at the start and end of the film in this secondary narrative where he's giving a speech to the Radio and Television News Directors Association, allows us to understand the meaning of Clooney's primary narrative much more clearly. So that's another thing that's important to think about with the form and structure of this film. The framing device helps us discern what the didactic message of the film is, because Murrow is talking so explicitly about television and media and the dual roles that it can play, one where it can inform and one where it distracts and deludes and insulates. It is a film about communication, metatextually speaking, and the necessity of using all tools of public communication, like film, in the most democratic and interrogative way possible. If you found this video informative, then make sure you subscribe so that you can find more videos on Good Night and Good Luck and other texts that you may be studying.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you do like the content, subscribe to our channel and we'll have more videos coming your way.
That's right, guys. Thanks for watching. And please make sure you check out our online resource database. We've had a team of state rank achievers and heads of English put these together for you, covering everything from essay structures and examples all the way through to craft of writing and comprehension skills. So check them out at ignitehse.com.au, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.